The intent of Jarrah White's Exhibit D series was to discredit what he considers the three main items of evidence that man walked on the moon: the rocks brought back by the Apollo astronauts, the existence of verifiable man-made objects, retroreflectors, left behind on the moon's surface, and the third-party reception of radio signals from the Apollo spacecraft while they were on or near the moon. Having failed his objective miserably, there is no real need to go any further. But to be complete, let's review a few of Jarrah's off-subject claims, which are nothing more than the imaginative musings of Jarrah's mentor, Bill Kaysing. 3 of these claims address what Apollo astronauts did if they didn't go to the moon.
Kaysing, who never made any secret of his inside knowledge, explained that the astronauts were never aboard the capsule when it launched. Instead, they came back down the gantry elevator and remained on Earth in secrecy for the duration of their mission.
In this particular case, Kaysing's supposed inside knowledge came from the inside of his head. Peter Hyams borrowed this creative premise for his 1978 sci-fi movie Capricorn 1. In this fictional story about the first manned mission to Mars, a malfunction in the life support systems renders the spacecraft uninhabitable. Nevertheless, NASA decides to send the spacecraft to Mars unmanned and have the astronauts play out the mission on Earth. Kaysing spells out how this was supposedly done on Apollo, starting on page 64 of his whimsical book, We Never Went to the Moon.
However, we have also seen evidence that the Apollo's 10 and 11 crews were in Earth orbit for the duration of their missions, not on the Earth as the Apollo 15 crew were. Meaning, a slightly different method of fake telemetry had to be used.
Wait a minute. How could there be evidence that the Apollo 11 crew was in Earth orbit when the great Sensei Kaysing, who never made any secret of his inside knowledge, said that Armstrong and Aldrin were on a soundstage 90 miles north of Las Vegas when they were supposed to be making their historic first moonwalk? If I were to pull a Jarrah at this point, I would accuse Jarrah of... well, several things, the least of which is being inconsistent. But I'll give Jarrah the benefit of the doubt in this case. He seems to be honoring this particular passage from the Conspiracist Bible in spirit, not exactly to the letter. Perhaps, due to some overwhelming evidence, Jarrah could not deny that the Apollo 10 and 11 crews were in a weightless environment while on board the command module. Nevertheless, why, do you suppose, would NASA risk sending Armstrong, their poster boy for the Apollo program, into space, then keep the later mission crew safely on the ground? Why would NASA risk changing their methods of deception halfway through the program? To ensure success of the hoax, they would have been more consistent in their approach. Why didn't they put all the astronauts in low Earth orbit? For that matter, after Apollo 11, why did they risk any additional missions at all? The only reason that the conspiracists give for NASA to perpetrate the hoax to begin with was to fulfill Kennedy's goal of landing a man on the moon before January 1st, 1970. Once the world saw Armstrong and Aldrin walk on the moon, Kennedy's goal was achieved, and there was no reason to continue the hoax, was there? Each additional mission was a liability, nothing more than another opportunity for someone to discover the Apollo program was a fraud. Why take that risk needlessly? And what if the remote-controlled lunar module should fail and crash into the moon? Or the command module should burn up on re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, which is what happens in the movie Capricorn 1. Did the astronauts understand that they signed up to literally fall on their own swords in such a situation to keep the storyline consistent? Kaysing didn't think his half-baked claim through very well. A claim that even Jarrah now believes should be refined somewhat by putting the Apollo 10 and 11 crews in low Earth orbit. And there is no evidence to suggest that the Apollo 15 astronauts stayed on the ground. If anything, the record indicates that they were clearly in a weightless environment on their trip to the moon. Take this footage of the crew checking out the lunar module, and shards of glass from a broken range and range rate tape meter floating in the lunar module cabin, for example. And don't forget Al Warden's 38-minute spacewalk to retrieve the film cassettes from the instrument bay cameras. Why on earth would Jarrah think that the Apollo 15 crew stayed on the ground? We'll look deeper into that question in the next video. Ciao, moon hoax conspirators, wherever you are.